All right, we do it live.
We do it live.
Welcome, everyone, fans and friends from across the world, to the first annual. What is this? Is it first
Horror
annual?
shits.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it first annual horror shits or first annual alien shits?
I mean, if we're doing the entire Alien series, then it's probably the first annual Aliens
Right,
because
right,
it's like
right. So, welcome to the first annual alien shits, which
alien
technically will
shit.
turn into Predator shits, and then we'll cap it off with the finale with Alien versus Predator. So,
The masterpiece that is AVP.
right. Stay tuned,
You
folks,
forgot.
because you've got a
You
lot
forgot about
coming.
AVP two.
I didn't know there was a two. At least I heard about it, but I never seen it. So
I have no
I'm
clue.
excited, dude. I'm pretty excited.
So we're starting off strong with the worst one.
Yeah, yeah, right, dude. This movie is fucking amazing, dude. Holy, I can't even believe it. I mean, I can't believe it's not butter, but like, wow. Um, but no, it's funny though. This movie, genuinely, I think it's not even just how great the movie was. I don't. It's just this kind of reminded me of like old filmmaking, and why all
Right.
those like pretentious old filmmaker lovers are like the way that they are. Because man, I don't know if it's just coming off the back of the mediocre DC shits, or just the fact that it was just this good. But it really reminded me, like the biggest takeaway from this is like how good filmmaking used to be. On not in terms of just the effects, like all the different practical effects were fucking phenomenal, and then every
hmm
shot, the shot selection was great.
Right.
It wasn't like it's every single shot is blowing me away from how great it is, but there were so many that actually stuck with me. I can't think of a shot that mattered to me in the last I don't know how many films, except for in the original
Ah,
Suicide Squad when
yeah.
the one lady did some crazy shit with her hands. Um, but yeah, it's like somehow shots don't matter anymore. But I also think
Right.
it's because I heard somewhere that there's a rule in Hollywood where every shot cannot last longer than like 2 seconds or 3 seconds or some shit.
Some dumb shit about that because people it doesn't hold people's attentions or some shit. But
Right, and that was the first thing I noticed about this film is how great it was because every shot had a chance to breathe.
I think we should have. I think we should have watched the the fucking Joker and Batman movies because yeah, they those ones are actually have directors that aren't just like, hey, can you do a DC movie? Those are guys that wanted to do the shit, and
Right.
their directing was pretty good,
Maybe
and
we'll
their
have to go
shot,
back. We'll do like a special feature on those.
yeah, eventually. But
Christmas
yeah,
special when we finish these up.
gotta take a break from DC.
Right, because I definitely needed a break. This has been a fucking. I'm addicted, dude. Because I, by the way, for all the fans out there, I never seen these movies. The only thing I seen was actually Alien versus Predator when I was like a kid, so I don't really remember.
I grew up
You
with
know,
these, so
I don't
I have
remember a
fond
lot
memories of
about it.
these.
But I played the
uh,
Alien Isolation game, and holy, they did a really good job on that game as far as like keeping it authentic to this movie. Just the set pieces, all the different things, like the architecture, all the design. I was like,
right.
hey, this looks just like Alien Isolation. And I was like, wait a minute, like you got that backwards, buddy. um, but yeah, no, this movie's fucking sick. I'm addicted, dude. I want to watch more. I was thinking about it. I said, dude, maybe I'll just watch the whole series. Just watch it tonight. um,
In
I don't want to do
2002,
that
this
though.
movie was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant
This one,
by the Library of Congress. Yeah.
holy shit, the Library of Congress. Damn,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that important.
It was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry.
Damn, so this is a fucking banger.
Right.
Uh, I guess so. It's the modern day Citizens Kane. I got. uh,
uh, yeah.
but I don't know. I guess I could see it though, and that's what I really appreciated too. Is it reminds me of like back in the day, like my video production classes when we would have to do that shit. We would have to like watch. We had to watch Citizens Kane. We had to watch a couple movies, and we were supposed to like analyze it and be all artsy fartsy and shit. But I didn't know the difference back then, so it was just annoying to me.
Right.
But I think since I've watched so much modern cinema going back to this, now I see what they're saying. It was hard for me, I guess, to have a good, transition. Because even looking at like Star Wars, right? We just watched Star Wars, but even that, it was good. But I guess somehow it's like the filmmaking was outshadowed by just the fact that it was Star Wars for me, I guess.
Right.
Because they did have some of the similar techniques this movie had, but I guess it wasn't the same. For somehow it didn't have like a lasting impact, I guess.
Yeah.
But this was also a thriller horror style movie. So maybe some of the things that it got away with were easier
Mhm.
because it's a slower paced kind of movie. Well, it's not even slow paced. That's what's crazy. The action was always there, but the filmmaking was slow. Like the shots had time to like breathe, but somehow the
Right.
tension never left. So it's just really good. And then yeah, the
Well, long
effects.
shots tend to build tension. As a thing.
That's
Um.
true. Even the first one, the very first shot when it shows those like emergency head mask things sitting there,
Yeah.
and like something was like shaking in the background or something. That shit was
Mhm.
kind of eerie, because I was thinking, what the fuck is that shaking back there? What's going on? What does this mean? um, but I knew they showed it to me for a reason, so that's why I cared. But it was essentially like I didn't know what was going on, but it somehow I gave a shit. Which is like interesting because you have a lot of new shots in movies. It's like they're just conveying a message almost.
Right.
It's like okay, put the character's face on screen, have them say their lines, move on. This one kind of built the atmosphere too. It made me feel like connected,
Right.
and it's such the genius way they did it. Like sometimes when they're showing the ship in the beginning, they had a lot of scenes or a lot of shots that would go like in the background. Right, it's showing one part of the ship, then it pans over like through a wall, and then it's on this next part down the hallway.
Yeah.
And that shit was cool because especially in the beginning, it helped build this sense of like this ship is empty. Like I thought everyone was dead in the beginning. I was like, dude, is this fucking ship empty? Are they already dead? Um,
Mhm.
but it's good because it set the eeriness of the ship before the people
Right.
got there, and then the people, oh, cool, people are back. You know, it's not as eerie anymore. But then when it went
They
back
was
to
they
it,
was taking a nap.
right?
Um.
Uh, so no, it was good, dude. All the different things. A short story long. Back to what I was saying. Now I understand what they're talking about. Is all those old films because there's times when yeah, like my favorite shot in the whole movie was I think was when she's her nasty ass fingernails and hands when she's crawling out of the little tunnel at the very end when
Mhm.
she had Jones before she got up there. And
Yeah.
then I was like, holy shit, ew. um, but it was perfect because she was sweating and shit too. I said I'd be sweating too. I fucking even if it wasn't hot in there, I'd be sweating from just panic.
Right.
So like it expressed so much. Seeing her hands all dirty, seeing the sweat, everything else, it was like that told me all I needed to know about her fucking physical state and possible mental state
Right.
without doing anything. Um, Same thing for like, a lot of the other stuff they did. So it's interesting, I guess, to think about. Now I'm like, going full
Mhm.
circle about like, damn, maybe those artsy fartsy fuckers are right. There's something to this. Because I also didn't watch a lot of like classic old film, like the really good shit, something like this, right?
Right.
I've seen a couple of them maybe as a kid, but I don't remember a lot of them. So now I'm going back to them. I'm looking forward to it. And I also can tell that after this one, none of the other ones are going to be as good. I can just feel it, dude. Like this one of those things.
Spoilers.
Good.
No, it's just spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah, right. Spoiled it without even knowing. Because you're not going to be able to do it.
If your favorite alien movie is Alien Covenant, then I'm sorry. Trey just told you it's gonna be the worst one because it came out last.
Probably,
Uh,
yeah. I can only see it going downhill from here. And the reason I think is because it's going to get progressively worse because number two is going to be hot off the heels, so it's going to be similar. It's going to have probably some of the same set pieces, some of the same design. But what are you going to do? You've already done it. The cat's out of the bag. I already know, what the alien does, how it grows, how it reproduces. I know so much things about it that were like interesting. I already know that Sal or whatever was a robot. Speaking of, that shit fucked me up. Because I was like, first, I was like, is that fucker, is he sweating milk? I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he's acting real weird. I said, oh, this fucker's crazy. Don't try. I thought he was like a standard, you know, scientist, psychopath guy who's like in love with the alien or in love with the bad guys because he's like weird for science. I was like, it makes sense. But then he started
uh,
grabbing him and like had
would you call
superhuman
him?
strength. Huh?
Would you call him Al?
Sal, something like that. It's over the S, wasn't it? Sam,
No, it's A. It's Ash.
Ash. That's what it was. I can't remember names. It's bad. um,
That's
but yeah, no, that shit was
the
crazy.
that guy played the monk in Fifth Element.
I haven't seen that in forever.
You haven't seen the fifth? Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were about to say you haven't seen the Fifth Element. I'm about to say, whoo.
No, I've seen it like once as a kid. I remember
Oh,
I liked what's his name. No, I didn't. I hated his ass. Who was Chris Tucker? I
Chris.
hated that fucker. But then I
Yeah.
got older and I seen him in like a clip. I said he's a funny. Why did I not like this guy as a kid? I thought he was just a weirdo as a kid. Maybe he is, but somehow it grew on me. But I haven't watched
All
it
right.
in
Yeah, but
forever.
yeah, Ash was a robot.
Oh yeah, that shit was crazy, dude. Like I didn't see it coming. I saw him betraying them, but then it was like they were building up something was fucked up about him. with like the different things, and he was like, yeah, he transferred here a month before he got here or something. And then
Before
that
they were
fucker,
like,
like when he
yeah, before they
grabbed her,
left their last location, they moved him on there.
right? So it was like fucking crazy though. Then he ripped his head off, and all the fucking nasty juice and innards. Ooh, that shit made me sick, dude. I want to look away. That shit was gross, and it's all fucking crazy practical effects, but it worked. Holy shit.
I
Um,
will say, yeah, if they made a robot now, he would just be like circuits and wires, right? He wouldn't have any like liquids and shit. Like they
right.
did
That shit
that.
was
That was
gross.
purposeful to make you feel grossed out.
Right. Now it worked. Holy shit. I thought he was mind controlled at first. I said, did the alien mind control him? Can they do that? What the fuck is going on? Like, that was a stressful ass fuck like 30 seconds of scene. I was, oh my god. um, but what do you call it? Fuck. Now I forgot where I was. It
We're talking
always
about,
comes back.
you were
Uh,
sucking the movie's dick about how artsy
Pretty much.
fartsy it is.
Right?
Uh,
No, the number two. We were going with number two and how it's gonna be worse, right? Because I already
okay,
know that. Like, you've already had like the Ash robot. You've already had that betrayal. You've already had the alien and understanding it and not knowing what it does. You've already had so much that made it good. You can't do it again. I mean, you could do it with different characters, but it's not going to be the same, right? So it's like you're going to have to do something that escalates it in a way. Whether or not there's like more of them, probably that's the easiest way I can think of. Oh, there's 15 of them now, and it's on a bigger scale, but that's going to lose a little bit of the intimacy of like the suspense. Or you
mm.
could do like history. That's what I want. I want the fucking history. I'm hoping one of them goes into
Well,
that because
you're in luck. So we get some prequels.
that's what
We
I
get
need.
eight.
Yeah, I want to
I
know
think we
where
just
that
get
ship was going.
one
Like
prequel to
the
be fair, actually, because I've only seen the first three, and I've seen the prequel, and I've seen, of course, Alien vs Predator. But
right.
um,
Because I need to know where that. Because were they? I think they had so many eggs on that ship. It's as if that was their pets, or that they had them there for a reason. But then clearly the dude who was driving the ship got a fucking alien busted out of his chest. So like they
right,
either lost control of them, or that was still like their people. I don't know. Maybe they're like the same species or something. I don't know. There's so much shit. I'm like, ooh, I want to know. Um, so you can definitely there's room to grow with the series, but seeing that what do they have like 7 more movies? Um,
six. Hold on. 1 through 3, Resurrection, Requiem, Covenant, 7, Prometheus,
7.
and
So
then
yeah, there's
you have the two AVPs.
which are gonna be cool. I think I'll give
Wait,
those
no,
a try.
Requiem is AVP too.
Got you. Those will be
So
fine because that's always cool. It'll be less
four,
like this
five,
movie, more
six,
action, but I'll give those
six,
a
and then
pass.
two AVPs. So,
Got you. Because it's just gonna be tough. You know, you've used a lot of the juice. It's like I mean that's with anything, right? With especially with horror or suspense, you can only do this juice the same orange so many times. Like it's eventually gonna run out. So I'm
right.
I'm excited, but I don't expect any of them to be as good as this one. But I don't expect them to be bad either. I just think it's gonna be like too much like the cat's already out of the bag. Um, but we'll see. I'm excited. But
As
eventually,
far
yeah,
as you know.
there's I don't have much to really say about how great the movie was. Honestly, that's all there is to it. The movie's just fucking awesome. Um, cause yeah, I mean, there's just let me see. Let's check the notes before I get lost. Cause
Right.
I was like I had nothing left to say
How
about
do you
it.
feel about the face hugger? Do you like the face hugger?
Yeah,
I
shit
know
was
you've been exposed to
gross.
the face huggers before through other media, right?
Yes, I
Like
did know
parodying it. Yeah,
something about them.
yeah.
Yeah. That shit's fucking gross though. Ugh. I thought it would be safe too when he grabbed his helmet. I said it's cool. He's got a helmet. He'll be fine. That fucker burned through it. Ugh. Um, but nah, that shit was just nasty, dude. But that's the whole point. uh, Crazy. I want to know about this shitty company though, because that's what I don't get. Because the fuck is with this company? What kind of jackass sends like you knew?
They wanted the life form. They
Yeah,
wanted
but
to make it a weapon or
you
something.
knew it was dangerous.
They
So why
didn't
the
know.
fuck you wouldn't send guys with guns? You wouldn't have like no like send the
They
military
just
guys?
they didn't know.
Hire some mercenaries? I don't fucking know something.
They didn't
Um,
know.
you sent like a ragtag band of assholes on a fucking mining
I mean,
ship.
this is at the beginning of the movie about free. Why don't we freeze him until we get
That's what I
medical?
thought.
Like, yeah, they
Nah,
could have froze him.
that's one thing I like a lot though about as far as a lot of all the characters in this movie. That's another thing that why it was so well done. Everyone felt like a real person. um, their motivations were
I
consistent.
love the two engineers.
Hell yeah, that shit's funny. What about our cut? You'll get your fucking cut. Just shut up and get back to work. Uh,
We
he
want
said,
extra.
right,
They're getting paid more. Why aren't we getting paid more?
right,
Bro, you asked for this. You said I'll do the job for this much money. You can't just turn around and be like, nah, I want more money now. Since I found out they're getting paid more. But those people exist, so
right.
it's
That's why I love it, dude. He said, "Do you say anything but right?" Right. That shit was fucking
right.
funny, dude. Yeah, all the guy, even like the captain guy. Half the time you saw he was just lazy. Like he was not lazy. He was just sitting there listening to music. He was like, I don't
He was
fucking
trying
know
to
what
get
I'm
home.
doing.
Yeah, he's trying to go home. He's like,
Right. He
god
wasn't
damn
some
it,
like fearless
stupid
leader.
SOS call. God damn it.
Right. He really was like the kind of what you would expect from a regular boss.
Right.
He has the title, but he's not like a shining leader. But then Ripley is like the by the book shining leader that you would expect, but she's not the boss. And the whole time she has
Behind, he
smart.
go. Kane's dead. She ain't gonna try to save him.
Right. I don't give a fuck. Lock his ass out. Quarantine protocol. Everything she said was, I was like, please listen to her. She's smart. Nope. Do the opposite. Next thing, yeah, you should freeze that fucker. Nope. Do the opposite. I mean, just please listen
You
to
said freeze him. I
somebody.
thought it was the navigator who said freeze him.
No, he did too. But I'm like, just in general,
People had
Okay.
fucking smart idea after
Oh,
smart idea.
navigator's a girl. That's the other girl, Lambert, the one who like froze up.
Poor girl. She said, just move. I can't move. That shit was scary, dude. Like, probably it makes sense, right? Because you think if you move, it's gonna kill you faster. Because it wasn't moving very quickly towards her. But if you
Right.
run, you might freak it out and it'll stab you or something. So it makes sense why she would like get
Freeze
frozen.
up. All right.
That's yeah. All the characters, man. All
Would have
the
been me.
relations-
I would have burned her and the fucking alien. Sorry, you
Right.
wouldn't move.
Right? At least try and shoot a little bit, like, because if the flames hit the alien's back, at least it'll like she won't burn that much.
Point it upwards. Should be right. Should get a little. Just burn her hair a little bit.
Right?
she ain't got that much hair anyway. She's fine.
Right.
But yeah, dude, that shit is like all the characters were so good, dude. All this the way that they did their stuff, even their stupid ass plans that never worked out.
I just feel about the computer being called Mother.
That was a little weird, a little on the nose.
Yeah.
It was very like modern day science fiction esque. The mother controls everything. The AI takes over, and we can't be trusted. Was it iRobot did that?
Yeah.
Skynet, and then there was another one too.
I love that
System
Sigourney
Shock.
Weaver, Ripley. When Ripley was like, "Yo," I love her part of the movie was she runs back to go turn off the self destruct,
Right.
and she gets it like 1 second too late, and she's like, "You bitch!"
Right. That shit was great because yeah, it was like, again, it's the same concept of like the human element of like these people feel very real and the shit that they do and the decisions that they make. I think if this is a modern movie, that's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
You're not gonna have her like fucking break down and run back. I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I don't want to die. And like try and not have it blow up. You're not gonna see like all these other things for like how the people are acting and stuff. It's just not the same. It's like they turned
That damn cat. Oh my
fucking
God.
Jones, dude. Jones is like the most roller coaster for the whole movie. Cause he shows up. I said, Jones better not die, you stupid motherfuckers. And then like I don't know, 30 minutes later, I'm like, just fucking leave the cat. It's not worth it. And then she leaves the cat, and I said, oh, you left Jones's box. And then the alien was about to get it in the hallway. I said, you better go back for him. No. Then she gets him again. I couldn't. I don't. The fucking emotional roller coaster with leaving or saving Jones. Oh my god.
Oh, then the fucking alien was got on the shuttle. The fucker was just taking a nap.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
was gonna. I was gonna ask about that. I was like, the fuck is he doing? Take a little nappy poo? Like, oh my god, he's just like tucked into some cables. Hey, can you turn the lights off?
He woke his ass up. He was taking a little nap.
Oh my god, that shit is fucking stupid. He's all tuckered out. He didn't kill too many people.
Oh man.
That shit was funny. I was
Yeah,
wondering though,
we-
did they freeze the cat? Because Jones didn't come out of the pods. I said, was he just chilling?
I think she froze the cat. Her and the cat froze.
Maybe we didn't see her get out of the pod, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
They're in stasis, as it were. But what they say they were like 7 months out from getting home.
Yeah, something like that. They just pretty much like just kind of freeze for most of the time, and then
Yeah.
then they come back when they get there. Saves food probably.
Yeah.
Nah, the fuck.
Do they
Even
still
the
get older? Do they still get age? Oh, that sucks. I sleep for 7 months out of my life. Jesus Christ.
Right. I
Uh,
mean, I guess what did you do otherwise? Sit there and play cards? Like,
right. But she'd get paid, so it's fine.
right? And then you don't notice it, so you just wake up. It's like 10 months worth of money.
Right?
That's not too bad. And you didn't have to spend it on like bills or food or nothing, so that's
Yeah.
not a bad deal.
She got a down payment on a house, or she got a fucking mortgage on a house back home.
Probably.
Just pull, just auto drafting.
That would suck. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Um, but nah, these fuckers are stupid though. I'm thinking I gave it like midway through when that fucker like that face hugger's on his body. I'm like, chuck that fucker into space. Like, just I was like, does no one think that? Maybe we should get him and the alien off the fucking
You're
ship.
talking shit about Dallas. Dallas wanted to save his buddy. Him and Kane are best buds.
Nah, fuck
That's
that.
that's his right hand right there.
I don't give a fuck, dude.
That's
Dude,
his second in command.
Let's fucking get Dallas off there too. Nah, even one dude mentions it. He's like, that thing, he could have a disease.
I
You're
would
gonna
say,
spread it across
we're
the
on a
whole
mission.
ship.
I have a face hugger on my face. You'd let me die. You'd be like, fuck it, fuck him.
Shit, probably. I mean, it'd be difficult, but fuck it, we have to do what we have to do.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know, cause I know better. I guess I know that there's some fucked up shit coming. Maybe they thought it's okay. It's just trying to eat him, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't know that there's gonna fucking spawn an alien from that. So
Right.
I guess in their defense, it's like, well, maybe we can have it stop eating him, or something. So
Dallas is just a burnt out anime protagonist. That's what he is.
He's funny. He was like literally like, ugh.
like he probably like the wife left him because he was always all gone. So then he's like just like some kind of like sad jaded old guy. It's like whatever, just get some money, man. But it's funny because we didn't even get any of that. But he had enough personality that I can assume
Yeah,
sort
you can,
something
yeah,
bad.
you can extrapolate his life through his personality.
Right.
Uh,
Such good characters. Yeah, the writing is good. Did you see the fucking atmosphere in the scene with the chains?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that had some atmosphere. Just more details that make this movie great.
Did they not bleed when you burn them? I was like, why are they using fire weapons again? They
Because
didn't want to fucking. They didn't want the acid.
Of fire.
They didn't want the acid to come out or something. I don't
No,
know.
well, not the acid, because they were like, what do we do, right? It seems like it's strong as
Yeah.
fuck, and we don't know how to stop it. And then Ash was like, well, most animals are scared of fire. And I was like, that's true. That's a good idea.
I think he was just trying to keep it alive. That was his mission.
Probably, right? And it makes sense. He's a robot. It's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
Unless maybe it thinks it's like food, or he smells like food.
Thinks he's food. Yeah, he probably
Uh,
doesn't smell like food, so he probably just whatever. But yeah, he doesn't care anyways. He just works for the. He's just a robot from the company, so he's
That's
just
true.
doing
He
his
doesn't
orders.
have feelings.
Yeah, right.
And even if he dies, the alien can't get off the ship, so it'll still make it home. If the ship doesn't blow up, it'll just auto navigate back home.
Yes.
So everyone dying wouldn't even matter. They would just have to get the alien when it landed. They would have to like protocol or something. Which would be stupid anyway, because as soon as it gets there, it'll fucking break out and kill everyone on Earth. Maybe not everyone.
No. They would have contained it. Ash would have contained it, and then the company would be able to mass produce them and use them for warfare.
Sure.
Ah.
I've never understood stuff like that. Like, how stupid, like... Because let's say it works, right? Let's say you get, like,
Yeah.
a box of aliens, right? We got 20 aliens. It's perfect. We're going to go drop them in this country we don't like. You drop them off. They go crazy. They kill everyone there. Then they start reproducing. Then there's a bunch of fucking aliens there. Then
But if they
what?
find out, well, I mean, they're not gonna just throw it in there willy nilly. They gotta find out what it's weak to, so that way they can wipe them out whenever they need to. So like the idea for me, I think is they're gonna fucking study it, create bioengineer more of them, and then like throw them on a planet they want to conquer. Oh, there's life here. We can't just use it as a resource planet. Fuck that. Throw the aliens there. Let them wipe out all the life forms there, and then we just kill the
liberate
aliens.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're here to save you from the aliens. We'll liberate this planet.
Right,
Aw,
right.
Everyone's dead. We're too late. Damn. Well,
Or that. I mean, that's even better. Like fucking release the alien stuff there, and then like, oh, all right, come to that planet. Be like, hey, we want you to join our like what's that shit called? Like the United Nations, but like a collective like planets
Some
or whatever.
coalition.
Like, yeah, coalition of planets. Would you like to join us? All you have to do is pay Earth this much money for defenses from evil aliens or like fucking crazy aliens. And
Right.
then they'd be like, "Fuck that, we're not gonna do that." And then you drop the fucking aliens on that planet, and then you go, "Oh, help us, we need help." Oh, well, you gotta sign that contract.
That's so fucked. It's smart though. It's definitely probably like, what we would do. I guess they have
if I was a greedy company, that's what I'd do.
right. I mean, if you
A
have
greedy
countermeasures, I
planet.
guess it just seems too volatile to me. Because how
I
much are
mean,
you
shit.
gonna
If
have to
anything, you just won't
spend?
go to that planet. You just say, "Fuck it." Well, all right, when you send a team to go kill them, that team doesn't come back. That kind of sucks. Oh well, that planet's lost.
That sucks. Because how much millions and billions?
But you were
of
not getting
dollars-
anything from that planet.
But how much did you
Unless
spend
just,
on your aliens though?
you spend nothing. They just
Nah.
breed.
You gotta feed them. You gotta house them. You gotta engineer them. You gotta have defenses against them. You're spending so much money on the alien.
That's
No.
logistics problem. That's not my problem.
Shit, that's
I'm
your money.
I just coming up with I just come up with the plans of how to take over the other planets.
See, that's I can't. All those systems they never got me. Weaponizing like zombies, right? We're gonna have this zombie take over this place. Why? Then you have to go unzombify it when you want to move in.
Well, you could use it for warfare just because it's like, oh, it's not expending any of your soldiers. So like, if somebody attacks you, you throw a fucking zombie bomb at their planet or at their fucking country, and it's their problem now.
I guess, but then don't you want to move in? Isn't that normally what warfare is about? Like we want
No,
your
not
land.
not always, not always, but especially warfare now. Warfare now is not rarely, less than half of the time war is raged now is about land, but it is still sometimes about land. Like right now with like Ukraine, Russia, Russia claims part of Ukraine is theirs. Well, I think they claim all of Ukraine is theirs, but especially this part right here. And then
Right.
Ukraine's like, no, that's ours. So,
I see.
but yeah, no, some of it, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just over. Hey, I want resources. Okay. Um.
Makes sense. See that, but
Yeah.
that's the scorched earth thing. Then the resources are hard to get. You got to fight through zombies to go to work and get your resources now.
Not true. Depends on what kind of tactic you use. But yeah, the zombie thing. Yeah, you gotta kill the zombies eventually. But like, if you're being attacked as just like, oh, they want our stuff. We already set up really good, and we don't need anybody else's stuff. And then we get attacked, we just throw zombies at them.
That makes
Now they have to
sense.
deal with that instead of attacking us.
Right, that
Um,
makes sense. Kind of keep them busy.
Especially if you make zombies that have like a expiration date, like oh, after 5 years they decay or they decompose. They just
I figured
fucking
they would die anyway, right? Because like
Yeah.
after like what 10 years, everyone's a zombie. There's no food left. Zombies don't eat each other for some reason.
right,
And then even if they did, they would just run out eventually.
right.
I don't know how long. What's the life?
Similar
expectancy?
similar tactic with the aliens. You bioengineer them to only live a certain amount of time, and then they die off, right?
Right.
And then you just scoop up their bodies, and then you use them as feed for the other armies of aliens you make.
It's fucking. You ever seen Abe's Odyssey or played that game, Oddworld?
No.
That shit's crazy. It's like one of like the first intro you find out they're literally chopping up civilians in their new food.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. But yeah, no, that's pretty much almost like back to the
Damn.
movie. That's it, dude. I don't even have anything else. This is like the fastest movie. Imagine.
Well, I mean, it's got a simple plot, but it's good, right? It's gripping. It's
Right. The biggest parts of it weren't even about the movie. It was just about the filmmaking style, and I guess and like just how good that shit was from like a
cool
director.
practical effects. The eggs look cool.
Right. Yeah, it was just top notch, man. Just top. I wonder how much they spent on this movie.
I can look it up right now. Budget. 11 million
11 million. That's not bad.
in the late 70s.
Right. So it's at least what 50 million or something this time.
Maybe
Something
20
like
million. I don't know.
It's
I
at
don't
least
know
gonna
how.
be more, right?
Yeah.
Um.
They made 184 million, so they
Right.
made their money back.
Because I'm wondering, like, this is like the kind of thing that it's so pure, this storytelling and this filmmaking and everything. Why the fuck can't we do that now? How do we spend
Because
200
people don't want to
million
see something they've already seen 1,000 times. They want to be witty, and they want to talk about the cool quotes, or they want quotable movies. There you go. Quotable movies that have them laughing and entertained at all times, like forever. And a lot of people can't do tension. It bothers them. They need the release. So.
Shit, that was the best part of the movie. I was like, just fucking stop, just kill it, do something. Then they didn't, and I couldn't handle it.
Oh, do you like the little fucking chest burster when he was like?
Ew, that thing was so nasty, dude. Um, it looked really good too when he busted out and everything. The only thing that I could tell was a little bit like funny looking was when he ran away.
Right.
That
That
was the
shit was
only
funny though. I love the I love the little runaway. He goes like,
the little scamper away. I said, "The fuck is?" That was one time where the practical effects didn't hold up, but that shit was still fine though. Yeah, that shit was good.
also when he's tuckered out, that motherfucker. I'm like, it's a dude in a suit. So I don't know. Those like 2 times for me, but it's whatever. Like
Right?
it doesn't take me completely out.
No,
Uh,
not at all. Even one thing I noticed it in Star Wars too, is I can tell they're toys in the ship.
right,
But I only
right.
noticed it in the very beginning. All the other ship scenes looked really good. I was like, wow, this is good. Even though I know it's a toy, it still looks good. um, so yeah, I guess I wonder if they can make films like this. And I actually want to go back and watch something like Rambo.
Mm.
Because I want to see if Rambo does similar things too. If because I don't remember it. I don't even know if I've ever watched it or I've only seen clips of it. But I wonder if they had times, because it's practical effects. He's in the fucking jungle. I wonder how many shots they had that were just slower paced shots and times to breathe and like how the cinematography
Probably.
was done.
I rewatched. Me and Kayla rewatched Red Dawn, the OG, because she's only ever seen the remake,
Mm,
and yeah, there's a lot of just still shots of like where like some dude with his gun and like fucking staring out into the open, right? Uh, but it shows like, oh, look at this teenager. He's a decked out soldier now because of the situation that's happening.
right.
Uh,
No, that's what I'm wondering. I think that maybe there's something that people have gotten away from in newer filmmaking because we spend far too
there's
much
still
money on it.
some of those. But it's just very few and far between. Because a lot of people are trying to make those quotable movies, the fucking ones that everybody fucking, or the franchise movies. The
Right.
um,
That is
gotta
what's
keep
tough,
progressing
right?
that story, that plot. Um,
Man, there's
can't
so
just
much
bask in
design
the
stuff.
atmosphere. Uh,
Right, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, yeah, just put me in somewhere and like make me care. And I know sometimes it's like difficult because they just struck gold, right? With like
yeah.
the interior of the ship, the design, the
I
setting,
don't know. A
all
lot
of
of
it.
the if you go back and look at a lot of the like 70s and 80s horror and action movies, they're very they build a whole fucking world out of just fucking props and shit. And that for a movie that could potentially flop, but they fucking tried.
Right,
um because if this goes off, we'll have like 4 or 5 movies. They'll be fucking sick, and we won't have to try as hard the next couple of them.
right. No, it is. There's something about like it just seems like there's a lot of care put into it. But then I wonder if, and this, I guess it just, I don't know, it just makes modern film look bad. Uh, and I guess I get it now. That's why everyone's so pissed. Because I didn't mind modern film. I still don't mind it. I still watch it and can appreciate it. But definitely, this is like a big sort of jarring shit where I'm like, damn, modern film sucks. Just because they're just wasting money on the budget. That's the only thing I could think of is that they're just throw money at it and that'll make it good. Um,
That's funny.
seems
Maybe
to
we
be
need
the
to have the ebbs and flows of like bad movies to inspire people who are like, man, that shit sucked. I'm gonna make a good movie. Because I'm reading right here about the writer for this movie. He
hmm
apparently saw a movie called science fiction. It's a comedy film, so it's probably supposed to be the way it is. But he didn't like it. Like the alien was just it looked like it was just a beach ball with some fucking arms attached to it,
hmm
like a spray painted beach ball. So he said, I wanted to make a movie that actually had a really terrifying looking alien. Uh,
right.
and that looked real. So there you go.
Well, that's also one thing too. Is like when I look at a lot of the blockbusters and for as far as movies go, and then video games, all the historic shit that was world defining. Almost
Hmm.
all of it was just technological limitations that were superseded, and we can't
Hmm.
do that anymore. I think we've reached a point where it just doesn't matter, right? But then I look back at these films, and that's not what made it good. Like, so I don't know what the I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's confusing because this movie was revolutionary, right? It was like, look at the effects in this, and it's never before seen. It
Yeah.
was like, we've never had a horror movie like this. It changed the landscape of movie telling, period. Well, we can't do that anymore, right? Like, whether it's technology or just landscape of movies, we have so many fucking films now. There's
I
so
disagree.
much, like, huh?
I disagree. There's always like different different fronts of movie making that are being broken through. Like we talk shit about. We don't talk shit, but we mentioned that like, oh yeah, Marvel's it. That's the only shit people are like wanting now. They want that universe, that multiverse and stuff, uh, that they can make a bunch of films in, and no one has to try to do anything because it's just a cookie cutter, and you already have like a what's that shit called? A
Pull it from
model
the
for it.
pull it from the
Yeah,
comics.
yeah. So but like whenever that first started, the cinematic universe, right? When that first started, that was revolutionary. People weren't doing stuff like that. And if you look at from Iron Man to Endgame, they should have ended it there, but it would have been remembered as like one of the greatest things done in filmmaking. It's like this massive movie series, um, that told a actual like thorough like complete story from if Iron Man is the main character. Um, and it would be a tragic story, whatever. But people would be like, "That's crazy! It's a massive story." But yeah, it's just gonna keep fucking expanding outward till it fucking collapses now. So
Right.
we'll see how it's remembered over time. But
Right.
there's advances in like what puppetry work, and what somebody will come out with some crazy movie with puppetry, and then everybody will like, "Oh, that's the new hotness. We got to go do that." So
Yeah, I guess, and sometimes too it goes in waves, right?
right.
It's whatever you haven't seen in the past 40 years that's popular.
People now are talking are bringing back like fucking practical effects like crazy, just because they hate CGI. But I'm like, no, it can still be CGI. It's like, you guys are attributing stuff you don't like about the movie to CGI when it's
Right.
something else.
I can't stand that shit. Every review, it's like the fucking and this fucking shitty CGI and this. I'm like, but you haven't talked about the movie at all. I get that you're
Mhm.
angry and you didn't like it, but nothing you said takes away from the plot, the
Right.
characters, the lines, the setting. None of it. Like you haven't given me a valid reason other than I saw that CGI was there and I hate it.
Yeah, but because I think what's it called? The new One Piece live action, the Fishmen. I didn't like it. The way they looked. Most of them looked fine. But if they'd done it more akin to like Pirates of the Caribbean guys,
Right.
in the second movie, fucking Davy Jones and his crew, they use CG. They use a lot of practical effects, but they also added CG in on
Right.
top of the practical effects.
They looked really good
So
too. Holy cow, they
right,
looked really good.
because like the practical stuff on them is like it anchors the CG, and so they only have one way to go, and they're like, all right, it's got to look like this, okay, and it can't just look, it won't look off-putting at all times, and they only have a few things they have to work on, like Davy Jones's tentacles, but a lot of
Right.
his face is not CG. Um,
Right. That makes sense. A good hybrid just to make it look good.
they do the same thing in the Mandalorian with the little baby Yoda. Uh,
Right. Uh,
he's a puppet, and they layer CG over the puppet. Um, so
right. I guess I'm
that
thinking
seems to
not
be
in terms of like how do I say it? Like we've reached a point where like if you do some grand adventure in space, it's now Star Wars or Star Trek, right?
mm.
It's just become synonymous. If you did something similar to Alien, they're just gonna say it's an Alien
People would like
knockoff, right?
people would liken it to it, yeah. But I feel like you can still do stuff like that and it be its own thing.
Right. I
Um,
mean, I'm not saying you can't. It's just I think that's we're reaching a frustrating point where we now
yeah,
have so much history, and the fact that we record it and have access to it. Because
right.
I imagine, over the course of history, somebody wrote a book, in like the 500 BC. Somebody wrote like a story about something spooky, and
Right.
then it got forgotten about, or burnt, or gone, or done, and it didn't get saved. So then, like 100, 200 years later, someone writes another same exact book, but then it's like, oh, this is cool. I've never heard of this, and it's like sort of without history. You can
It's
always have something
I
fresh.
must say, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy who's like, oh, this is this plus this, or this is this but like something else. Like George Martin wrote a book called Night Flyers. I didn't read it till I was an adult, but I actually owned it as a kid. I guess I tried reading it and threw it away or something. I don't remember.
Mhm.
But it's about a crew in like a futuristic society going through space trying to try to make contact with these aliens, and while they're on the journey there, they're fucking being haunted or something's happening, people are dying, there's some weird creepy shit going on, and I'm like, this is like Aliens but with ESP instead of an alien. um so like, yeah, I do that all the time. I compare stuff to stuff I've already seen, but that's not to diminish that work itself.
Right. It
So
doesn't mean it's not going to be good, But I
It's just like if
guess,
I know somebody likes Alien, I'll be like, hey, yo, you should read Night Flyers. It's really good. It's very similar setting. Um,
and there is,
so
I guess, things you can do. Because I was talking to Jameson about it, about like romance,
right.
and about how the fact that it's the same shit every single time. It's gonna be at some point there's a they like each other but they don't like each other but they're not sure how to say it, but one does this, then there's a third friend who like third triangle, then there's the get together, then the miscommunication, then the recovery. It's like
Right.
all the same shit every single time, but it
Yes.
never gets old because there's little changes like, oh, this person is a doctor and then this person is sick and then they get together. Then it's like, oh, this person is their boss. Then it's like another one is,
It
oh,
stands the test of time. Like people think that shit's gonna fucking like, oh no, we can't be cliche. Nah, cliches are cliche because there's a fuck because we eat that shit up.
right. And somehow it's like romance I think gets away with it easier.
Right.
Because if I see another fucking horror thing or something and it's like, oh, and then this happens, I'm like, and let me guess, someone's gonna go here and die. And it was, are they gonna have this stupid situation where somebody's like, I'll go do it myself, then they go off by themselves and die.
I mean, it's the same thing where with Dances with Wolves and Avatar. Whenever you mention that somebody's like, "Oh, it's just Dances with Wolves," I'm like, "Okay, but you, but you like the Avatar setting, the fantasy setting, right?"
That's
Yeah. So,
true, because that
don't
shit was fucking good. Like,
but don't worry about
oh,
that. Yeah, don't worry about that shit. That shit doesn't matter because it's just people are just gonna hate just to hate. They'll find a reason.
that is true. Because it's almost 1-to-1 that story. They even had
It's
like
funny when you told me that. I said spoilers for fucking Avatar because
That's
I
funny.
know Dances with Wolves.
uh, yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that. Yeah, and it's funny actually. Number 2, Avatar 2, is the exact same as number 1.
Yeah.
But somehow it was still good. Not that it was good as far as I left it thinking, man, that was really thought provoking or anything like that. But it was captivating. Just
Right.
sitting there, like, have my mouth open, drooling, staring at the screen. It was really captivating because the visuals were great. The drama was there, and really, it was the world, man. It was the setting.
Yeah.
Just looking at all those crazy creatures that are there, and the wildlife, and the fucking flora and fauna and shit. I'm like, holy cow, this is fucking cool.
I think Glass is a true writer from Siege because he said it best. Details.
Details.
Details are the most important things.
I think so, right? Because when I think
That's
about like
what
Metroid
separates.
Prime,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Playing through Metroid Prime, one thing that made that game so fucking special was everywhere you went, there was stuff going on. Like there's a little critter scurrying around the ground. I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? And you scan it, and it has like a whole biological details and everything on what they do, their habitat, like what they do and don't like. Kind of like their eating habits, where they're native
Yeah.
to. And I'm like, whoa! And then you find out a different one, and it's like this actually preys on the other one. It's like that's the little scuttlebug from earlier. That's like it preys on that guy. And there's this huge ecosystem to explore, but that has nothing to do with the gameplay. That
Right.
has nothing to do with going around shooting bad guys. Like, you could just do that any day of the week. But it's like, yeah, the world was so interesting that I wanted to know more. And the lore, all the backstory behind, like, what the fuck happened here and all these ruins and relics and all. It's like, whoa. And I think, yeah, that's probably, maybe that's almost required at this point.
Right.
Because I think back in the day, before we had so much exposure to so many things, just it was enough, right? Just having like an action film or a space film, it was enough on its
Right.
own.
Right.
But now we've kind of been spoiled, I guess, that we need the small bits, we need the lore, we need the little in betweens, because that's what makes it unique. Versus we've already seen 1,000 action films, but this one's unique because it's like, oh, he works for this society, which has a beef with this society, which is being paid off by this thing, and then it's like, holy shit, how does that work together? That's what makes it interesting, I guess, the details. Glaz the poet.
He is. He's a man.
A great poet once says before he shoots a guy in the head and his brains blow out the back.
Details.
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 That's so funny, especially after you have banana vision. But no, I guess you're right. So you could make some cool, interesting alien knockoff, air quotes, as long as it had enough lore and enough world and enough cool stuff.
As long as the characters are interesting.
That too, because that's also one thing I think I've noticed too, and that we were discussing earlier, is the fact that all these characters are interesting because some of them are stupid, some of them are smart, but somehow it never works out. And their decision making throughout the film is what makes it interesting.
I'll say it's a small character arc, but with the one guy who complains about like his money, right? Like I want more money. I want more money. He's portrayed as kind of selfish, right?
Right.
Because he's like, I want more money. But he won't burn the girl that's terrified in fear. And instead of fucking just killing the alien and her, he tries to push the alien out of the way so she can run away, and he gets killed.
Right.
So it's like a small, tiny character arc inside of there.
No, it's true. Even what's his name, Boss Man, Dallas, when he was like, she's like, who's gonna go in the vents? She said me. He said no, I'm going. And I was like,
Right.
damn.
You realize he fucked up by not quarantining.
Right.
Quarantining what's his face.
And he took responsibility for it, and it was like, damn, son. So now you're right. And then that's what makes it interesting is when they do or decide to not do things, right?
When I was a
That's
kid,
the-
I fucking hated the navigator. I was like, you dumb fucking person. Why? She's yelling at fucking Dallas. Dallas, run! And he's running the opposite direction. It's the same reason I get mad at Chris when we play fucking video games. 'Cause the call-outs aren't good.
Right.
It's like, no, you're running into him. Why did you tell him earlier?
Right.
All you're saying is run.
Nah, that's funny, but yeah, and that's what it is. So if it was just literally aliens, I don't know, aliens Requiem or some shit. No, Requiem's too dramatic. Just aliens again, and it was just literally a remake of this movie, exactly the same, but the characters were different. I think that would be good enough, because if they're a completely different crew, they're gonna make completely different decisions.
Right.
And that's what's going to make the movie interesting. I think if you completely did setting everything exactly the same, but the cast was different, like the crew was different, and let's say the one guy's not selfish, he's super timid. Like the one engineer is like, now he's like a super timid asshole, and he never wants to do anything. That's going to play out very differently in like how he's going to react to the situation, and that's what's going to make it interesting.
Yes.
Let's say Ash isn't a robot this time, but now he's like some sort of fanatic or like some religious fanatic or something and wants to go worship the alien.
Exactly.
He plays a similar role, but he's going to act completely differently.
Yes.
Or let's say the boss man, Dallas is a boss man, right? He's super like, and I'll do this, and I'll protect everyone, and I'll do this and this, and then like his decision making gets everyone in trouble or whatever, or makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of things that you could tell the exact same story, but it's how it plays out differently because of the characters. Maybe that's why the first thing I complain about, or what I always care about in a movie, is the characters.
That's the most important thing to me. Is the characters.
I think so. Yeah, because it's how they act, it's how they talk, it's how they speak, it's how real or fake they are. It's like if it's unbelievable to me, like no one would act like that. Why would he do that? It's not cohesive with his motivations from earlier or her motivations from earlier. It doesn't make sense to me, and then the movie suffers because of it. Because I'm like, that's not right.
Hmm.
Like you just needed to get to here, so you forced them to act whichever way you wanted them to act to get you here. No. I think that's not as good. Not as good as all. And like for example, like when Ripley's the only one left in this movie, that's
Yeah.
like horror 101, right? Everyone has to die except the main character. That's bullshit. I get tired of that. But this movie, it felt natural. Because, well, the robot died because, well, he's a fucking betraying robot.
You couldn't even tell she was the main character, though. I mean,
I
you can
noticed
tell she was
that.
the most. You can kind of tell she was more competent than the rest of them, but other than that, like she took her job seriously and stuff, and she was the one who was like, "Hey, this guy's fucking doing shit I don't like."
Right. No, it's true. I actually was thinking about that when I was watching it. I was like, man, there almost wasn't a main character for a while. And that's really good because that's how power dynamics are in real life. Like,
Right.
Their relationship between Dallas, her, and everybody, that's what makes it interesting because she's not the boss. She's not the main character, air quotes, but she has the decision-making process that is going to help her survive in the long term. And that's why she ends up surviving. And everyone else makes dumb decisions, or at least, gets caught up in unforeseen or unfortunate circumstance, and they end up dead. But it's like it felt very natural the way it progressed. It wasn't
My
this
favorite character is the guy who goes right.
right. He's funny. Poor guy. He's sitting there looking for Jones. But yeah, that's good. That's good storytelling, and I think that's the problem. Is like there's sometimes too this tropiness of movies. It's like, oh, we have to do this because everyone else does that. It's not scary if no one dies, and maybe it's not. I don't know, right? If you had a horror movie like a slasher film, or an alien type film, or something like that, and only half the people died, right? There was 10 people and 5 of them died. What's wrong with that? Like, they don't do that. It's always 5 to 7 people, and all of them die except the main character.
Usually, it's always the main girl, like not I said the main girl, but like all girl, well, so, like the one who's the smartest. The smartest of the girls will be the one that survives, and none of the dudes will live. Usually,
Right. Or if they're a
but
couple, the couple will
yeah,
survive.
yeah, the couple will survive, or the mom and the kid.
Right.
Um,
I just think that
rarely.
sucks.
It is not always the case, but it usually happens. I'm saying this House on Haunted Hill, one of my favorite horror movies. The remake actually has one girl and one dude survive at the end, and the asshole gets redeemed. So yeah, but I mean, it's tropes. It just happens. It works out that way. Most people will like it. So um,
I guess, yeah. And if it's done naturally, I guess that's fine. So I guess maybe I
the
want to see
kid
something else.
horror movies made for kids usually has the whole group of kids surviving. Maybe one kid will die. Uh,
Because the question is, can it still be scary if not everyone dies?
Yeah, I know that's where you're leading, but I was like, for me, I don't need the monster to kill, but it increases the stakes. It goes, oh look at what could happen to these other kids, and I understand that we as people who watch movies all the time understand, hey, this monster's scary. He can kill these kids. They need to get away. We don't need him to kill someone for us to feel that tension,
Right.
or to
I guess
feel
that's part of
that
the
this thing is
excitement.
threatening, creature, right?
Because some people love it to gore, right? Oh, he just stabbed that guy in the chest. Whoa!
Yeah, but
It's like,
my biggest complaint with horror movies is always like, oh, these kids are gonna die anyways. We don't need to write them. And this movie, we don't need to write like good characters from out of them. Whereas this movie writes every one of them except for outside of Kane maybe as a good character.
right,
But Kane was the first one to die. So and he got a little bit of personality in the time we did have him. But
right.
so
No, it's true, and that's the whole thing we've been bragging about is how great the characters were.
yeah. Whereas,
And it's,
my problem with horror movies is always that they don't care about these characters. They're like, we're only gonna write one character with personality, and it's the person that survives.
right,
And I don't want to put in the work to write 6 different characters. I'm just gonna kill one of them in 30-minute mark, one of them at the 40-minute mark, one of them at the 45-minute mark, another one at the 50-minute mark.
right.
Uh, so
No, that makes sense, and I think it just needs more effort and more care as to like why do they matter, right?
right,
Like when you think about personalities, like we need these certain group of personalities to be together to make the story interesting, because that's just how it goes. That's kind of storytelling in a nutshell. That's why life is kind of boring sometimes, because there's a certain dynamic of these people with these quirks or quips and how they act together in a situation that causes it to be interesting. So you got to kind of figure that out of like, okay, these people would interact in these ways that makes it interesting, and then you go from there. But yeah, you have to flesh that out because then that's what's going to make the decision making very interesting. If it's like there's one character who's kind of looked at as like the oldest guy or the leader guy, but he's like unofficially people would turn to him for advice, but he's a scaredy bitch under pressure. That leads to a very interesting dynamic because then it's like, well, what do we do? Well, I don't know. We'll just sit here and hide in this room. And then somebody says, we can't just hide in this fucking room. There's somebody out there. They're going to come get us. We need to run. Then it's like, now what do you do? Because now personalities are conflicting and motivations are conflicting. Then the story progresses from there. And if they're well written, their interactions are going to be meaningful. And then it's like, now this guy's no longer being looked up to. He's just kind of following the pack. But then maybe eventually he freaks out and says, no, you listen to me or something. Then he gets like crazy and then it causes everyone to get killed or something like. But that would require sort of an interesting writing on their part as far as like he needs to have that going on for that change to be meaningful or interesting to the movie. Because then it's like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're stupid. Like, don't be a man, right? It's like you don't need to be a hero. But then let's say that that's the progression throughout the movie is like somebody's very ashamed or whatever of like, oh, everyone else is making all these decisions and these big, strong men and makes me look stupid. So now I'm going to be a hero. Then they run out and die. And it's like, don't do that. You're missing the point. These guys aren't Superman heroes. They're just doing what they need to survive. It's not a big dick contest. But a character like that would be really interesting versus like what you're saying. I think if they were going to write that, any horror movie would just write it as, all right, he's that guy all the time. He's super arrogant. He's obnoxious. 30 minutes in, he runs out. I'll save you, girls. And then he just gets stabbed and dies.
right.
It's like, well, cool, he got stabbed and died, but it didn't feel like a real human motivation. It just felt like kind of a caricature of what people would do. But you can get away with that, I guess.
A lot of people just go see shit like that just for the gore and
Jump
the
scares,
and the jump scares and stuff like that.
right?
Yeah,
That's why I don't like horror.
they're cheap thrills. Yeah, it's a cheat code, cheap shot, whatever you want to call it. But
Right.
it works for a lot of people, right? But it doesn't stand the test of time.
Right. That makes sense. How many horror movies, right, can you remember? If like out of all of them, it's like how many of them were like super memorable? Is like, oh yeah, this movie and this, or it was like, yeah, I forgot I watched that. It was spooky, I guess, or it was scary.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
like a
why
roller
something like The
coaster.
Ring, right? Why The Ring would
Yeah,
be so good
right.
because it's exciting. Cause it's like, what the fuck, man? You know, like, and you would think, don't watch that video, right?
Yeah,
But they do. But that's people, right? Their curiosity. Um, and then it's like, how is this happening? What's gonna happen next? There's just so much tension that's built because of the world and like the horror mechanics,
Mhm.
like, the design of like what the spook is, whether it's a ghost or some crazy tape bitch. Um, those kind of things, yeah, that shit is it's what makes it interesting. But yeah, if you don't have that, I don't know. I think I'm done though. I think we're rambling.
Yeah. We're rambling.
Um,
We're just talking about horror movies in general
right.
now.
So
Yeah.
so,
Rating.
so oh fuck, rating? Could be
Yeah.
9.5.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's a good rating.
I'd give
Uh,
it 9.5, yeah, because it didn't do nothing wrong. It was fucking solid throughout the entirety of the movie. It wasn't a perfect film. I don't know what was wrong with. Oh, the one shot. Here's the one shot that takes it from being a 10. Is when she's like towards the end. There was like this epileptic shock of like just the fan was spinning with the lights,
right.
and I had like the room was dark, so I'm trying to watch the movie and it's just like flashing lights. I was like, Jesus, what is this?
All right.
So there's my excuse. That's my excuse for why it's not a 10.
Here's my big hot take. This gets a solid 9.3.
Ooh.
uh, I was gonna say 2. But
Right.
no, yeah, 9.3. This shit's fucking great. It's hard to complain about anything in this movie, especially given
Right.
the time it came out. It came out in.
Right.
For me. So, and every time I watch this movie, I watch it. I do not get fucking distracted. I watch the entire fucking movie. Uh,
Right.
I love this one. It's one of the rare ones for me. It's up there. It's all
Now
right
we get
there.
to go to number 2.
This one's so good.
I think it's gonna be cool though. I'm excited for it. I don't think.
I will tell you that there's a lot more stuff that appeals to the masses, but
Which makes sense.
and by the masses I mean lots of explosions.
Oh Jesus.
Do you not like having military soldiers come out and fight a bunch of aliens?
I mean, it's okay. That's why I liked Alien versus Predator movies because those were just action films of them beating each other's ass. I thought that was cool, but not for
I
the
thought
main
the
line.
Aliens movie was an action series. I didn't know it was a
No,
horror.
not the mainline
Wait,
series.
what? I thought it was action
Oh,
movies.
boo.
I didn't know that. I didn't know there were horror movies.
Boo.
It's still scary. It's fine.
Right.
It's like Resident Evil 4, right? It's action horror now.
Right. It could be good as long as it's got the lore, right? As long as it's got interesting stuff throughout. Because I'm not a stickler to say like.
One of the things I will say is all the Alien movies add to the lore.
Then that's all I need, right? Because as long as it's interesting, like I don't know what the premise is for number 2, but if it's like, oh, they're in this place and they managed to get some eggs and then they hatched and took over the place, it's like, oh fuck, what do we do now? That's exciting. It's enough for me. It's like Resident Evil the movies, right? When they're like, we need to get to the Spencer Mansion and go down to the lab. That's enough for me. Go to the lab. There's monsters there. Do something cool. At least if it's
Okay.
interesting enough. So I'm a little bit like less hard to please when it comes to like stuff like that, as long as it's
I'd
good
like to
enough.
see what the release was like. How people went crazy. Like, did they hate
Probably it
this
had the
movie?
same syndrome as like Final Fantasy VIII
Yeah.
compared to 7. It was like 7 was so good, 8 sold triple.
Yeah.
So I imagine the box office for number 2 was fucking through the roof because number
Right.
1 was so good.
Wow. The first Alien had no formal premiere.
Really?
Yeah. Had a limited release. We didn't think it was gonna do the critics and the people who got like the first showings and stuff didn't think it was gonna do good.
How could you say that?
They're fucking stupid.
The
Again,
critics
remember
usually
how we
are
were talking about
stupid.
critics before about how much they fucking suck? It's always been a problem apparently. The
Right.
the critics and reviews for Star Wars was just they were like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
That's so funny. How do they get those jobs?
I don't know.
Like for the
Shit
past
goes.
like
They
80
played it.
years,
Motherfuckers went to the theaters and saw it like 20 times.
right? But it's a bad movie. Yeah, critics are just jackasses, I guess. I don't. I have to. Maybe it's just a position where you're just paid to be a dickhead, maybe, or like they feel like that's their responsibility.
Maybe.
If anybody's a critic and like you genuinely are a critic and that's your job, please leave a comment and
There's
tell
a lot
us.
of there's a lot of like fantasy stuff or fucking horror stuff, just fucking franchise. All these franchises that like lasted forever. A lot of them, the first movie, critics hated them. I don't know what it is, but I've
Right.
noticed that about a lot of the movies I've watched that
Because yeah, I'd like to just know the thought process, right? Because imagine like if you're a critic and you watch this movie at the time and you said, "Oh, it's too gory or it's too scary," right? Because
Right.
the American film is one that is watched with a family, and since you can't take your family, there's not enough single adults that are going to come see this movie. Therefore, it's going to do poorly, right?
right.
That's enough. That'd be enough for me. I'm just kind of grasping here, but that would be enough
I was
reason.
I was looking at Red Dawn. Red Dawn has stood the test of time. It's like one of the classics, American classics, and I went and looked up stuff on it. Apparently, it did fucking massively bad, like amongst critics because it was too real. It was too sad, and
Right.
too many kids died in this movie. Get out of here. That's
Right.
what would happen if there was an invasion of the United States.
Right.
And a bunch of fucking teenagers decided they wanted to fucking fight for freedom. They
Right.
die.
Right. It ain't sunshine and rainbows.
They ain't got no fucking. I told Kilo, I was like, if they make this shit today, I was like, wait a minute, there's a remake. If they remake this shit today, none of the kids would die. All of them would live, and they would all somehow take out an entire fucking base by the fucking
Right.
opposition with no formal training or anything.
That's funny. I think though, yeah, it makes sense. So maybe critics' perspective is always extremely reserved because they assume that the masses are just dumbass, uncultured people, which is mostly true. But I think though, if you look historically, even if the masses are dumb or uncultured or incapable of understanding why a movie would be good, it's always been the case that the good movies with the good shit have done well. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to know about filmography
It
to watch this movie.
speaks to your core. You have no idea why this movie does well, but it just fucking hits you and you love it.
Right. Like, you don't have to know about filmography and say, wow, this shot is so good. To feel the eeriness of, like, the chains in that scene when
Right.
they fucking. You just know, like, oh, this is fucking scary. I don't like this. But then, like, someone who's more astute might be able to notice what they're doing to set that up with the sound design. But you don't have to know that.
Yeah, because they're doing it so that you don't notice it. So
Right.
that's the trick. The best. Oh my god. Yeah, the best fucking well shot. If they're trying to set a tone, in a person, it's so they don't notice, and it gives them that feeling, and they don't even know why they have that feeling. It's because of the art and the direction.
Right.
So yeah, just because they are aware of it and they are looking for it, they can see it. But general audiences don't know that stuff, but it just happens to them.
Right, because
True.
it's not necessary to enjoy it, and that's what we talked about before, right? Like,
Right.
it's not necessary to get behind the scenes and dig deep to enjoy and watch Naruto.
Right.
Look at the cool fights. All right, that's all I need, and the show's great.
That's all I need. That's what like 80% of Naruto fans just start.
Right.
Yo, and what do they say? They acknowledge that Naruto isn't the best written story, but their first defense is it's got the best fights though out of any anime, hands down.
Right, the choreography is insane. But they have the other details. They have the juice. They have the lore. They have the heart, the feelings.
Yeah, but you feel that shit in your soul.
Right, but you don't need that shit. And I think that's most good media and stuff too. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't need all that, but it's still good. How do I say that? Like, the masses aren't going to get that, but they're still going to be able to enjoy it. And that's why I think those things always do well, even though critics are stupid. Like you said, oh, they're not going to be able to watch this because kids die. Well, then they watch it, but they don't walk home. I think most viewers that would see that and walk home like, they were just brutally murdering kids, and that was just a horrific show of violence, and I hate this movie. Maybe some people would because they're just more ignorant than most, but most people would know what it means in the context of the story and feel the sadness from it. That's the point. Like, you don't, I don't know how you say, you can introduce these effects, but do it in such a meaningful way that the audience can be gripped by it and they're less shocked by it. How do I say that? If it feels good in the story.
Right.
And then, of course, people aren't as prudish as they make them out to be. We're actually learning that. I guess it took us until, what, the last 10 years to
Right.
really realize that Americans aren't these crazy, prudish people who hate everything except for violence. Because somehow violence is always okay.
Violence is always okay. As
But
long as you
then,
don't
like,
say any naughty words.
right. So it's, yeah, looking at, like, Game of Thrones, right, and stuff, it's like, it's introduced all this stuff, right, and people love the story. It's got all this violence, sex, language, it's got all these things. But it's widely accepted as one of the best shows ever. Because, yeah, these things may be taboo or dramatic, but it's because of the context of the story that they're okay in a way. And they help you, like, what's the word? Come to terms with those kind of emotions. Was it catharsis, right?
Yeah.
A good story is supposed to introduce these emotions, then you help feel your way through them as the viewer. But if you don't show them anything, deep or interesting or dark, they can never tackle those emotions. They're never able to come through them. So the experience becomes more shallow, I think. But that's too far. We were wrapping up anyway.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Engagement is good.
Thumbs down and leave an angry comment. Engagement is good.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.